My name is Tom Robinson. I'm with A&O Inc. We are a independent distributor of sinks and faucets in the Midwest. I cover 8 states personally. Our primary product is Eclipse stainless. It's not our only product, but it's our primary product. We believe, given the state of the sink market today, it's the best sink on the most reliable source for sinks on the market today. My purpose here today is fourfold. First of all, we're going to talk about the state of the stainless steel sink market in the face of the tariff, which you've probably all heard about, on Chinese sinks, and how Eclipse is dealing with that and why we think it's a reliable source of quality sinks. Then we're going to talk about Eclipse faucets. Gives you some unique selling propositions that we don't think you can get anywhere else. Then we have another product, Freendo faucets in oil rub bronze and brushed nickel. We're going to talk a little bit about them. And then we're going to talk about, we have granite composite sinks. And then the final thing is we're going to tie all these together, how to sell packages and how to work with packages to help your customers. Okay. Almost 2 years ago now, one of the big sink manufacturers filed suit with the Federal Trade Commission and said China is dumping sinks below cost. And they didn't go after the cheap sinks, they went after all sinks. And the Federal Trade Commission agreed with them, and 2 years ago, March, they placed a 70% tariff on all sinks, which meant that if you buy a sink for $100, it's now you have to pay $170. So it went up 70% overnight. Then they said, oh, and by the way, if a year from now we decide the tariff should have been 100%, you are liable for all the sinks that you sold the past year, the difference. So not only did the price go up, but you didn't know what the price really was because the tariff, they raised the tariff, it went up. A year later in March, the big name sink guy started making sinks in the U.S. out of a lower grade steel, but they were cheaper. So the Federal Trade Commission said, hey, well, if you can make them cheaper, then the tariff should only be 30%. And it varied from factory to factory. It wasn't sort of 70% across the board. It went from about 68% to 85%, depending on which factory it was. So they lowered it to 30%, but again they said, if it goes up, if we decide really, yeah, we should have been 70, you're liable for that 40% retroactively. So most responsible sink manufacturers found someplace else to manufacture their sinks. Almost immediately upon this happening, Eclipse moved their production out of China to Korea. So all their drawn bowls, and this is a drawn bowl. Drawn bowl is the process of pressing it. So those of you who are familiar with the 802s, with the Eclipse sinks, we used to be 500 series, now they're 800 series. The 500 series was the Chinese version. The 800 series is now made in Korea. This is a Korean sink. What happened was, when the cheap sink guys, a lot of them went back to their factory and said, hey guys, we can't afford 70%, let's make it cheaper. So they started using cheaper steel, uncertified steel. Many sinks weren't certified, and we're going to go into what that means shortly, but they used uncertified steel, cheaper processes. You may have seen one of the things that came out of it is the flat finish or matte finish sinks. Some have seen the flat finish sinks, okay? A matte finish sink is no finish at all. They stamp it and send it out, okay? So there are more cheap, bad sinks on the market today than there were before. The other thing that happened is some guys went to started taking containers from China, sending them to Vietnam, and then importing them and calling them Vietnamese sinks. A lot of those guys got caught. We don't know what got through. And then some people moved to places like Malaysia, Vietnam, that never made sinks before, so the sinks, you know, India suddenly was a player in the market. There were new companies, and whether they'll be good sinks someday, they weren't yet because they weren't. So that's the condition of the sink of the market today. If you're buying from Eclipse, you are getting a quality sink. We have a reliable source. We're not running out, and you can get it in a few days. You don't have to stock pallets of sinks. Okay. What makes a good sink? Better yet, why buy Eclipse sinks? Better steel, better processes, certified quality, and Eclipse brand. What does that mean? Better steel. Our sinks are made out of 304 stainless steel. The sink that I told you the major manufacturer is making out of 301 stainless. The definition of 304 is 18% chromium and 8% nickel. So if it's 304, that's what it's got to be. That's what all your kitchen appliances are made out of. If you buy that $5,000 stainless steel refrigerator, that's made out of 304 stainless. 301 stainless is 16% chromium and 6% nickel. So it is duller. It is noticeably duller than a 304. The nickel, the 6% nickel versus 8. Sometimes you guys have seen when you go in a home and it's an old tract house and it has a drop-in sink in it. It's kind of yellowish or brown. That's because it didn't have enough nickel in it. Okay, so the nickel hardens the finish and makes it last longer. I can show you 10-year-old Eclipse that are as shiny today as they were the day they were put in, as long as they're maintained. Whereas the 301s will deteriorate over time. Now, most of the cheap sinks, you don't know what it is. If they don't have any documentation what it is, you may be getting 304, you may get 301, it could be anything. Okay, so better steel. Certified quality. When Rockford or whatever town decides to write a plumbing code, they don't start with a blank sheet of paper and start writing a plumbing code. They adopt the International Building Code, the Uniform Plumbing Code. In Canada, it might be the Canadian Plumbing Code, but there's 3 master model codes, and they do it, and then they come and they talk to their people and say, okay, what do we need to change with this to meet Rockford's needs? You know, weather, whatever. Then they modify from there. All 3 of the major model codes require that the sink be certified to meet ASTM 112.19.3. You don't even have to remember the number. But they have to be certified to meet that. Now, certification doesn't mean the manufacturer said it meets this. It means that an independent agency, IAPMO does UPC, CSA is the Canadian one. They all do with 3 initials, I don't know why. GSA? Anyway, it has to be, but an independent agency has to certify that it meets that. Now, one of the requirements of that is it must have the manufacturer's name on it, or logo. It must have the model number of the sink, and it must have the certifying agency's stamp. So, more common is UPC, you've seen that shield, the UPC. Eclipse has always been certified. You were mentioning an Ohio sink, that is not a certified sink. Because it doesn't have those things, because he's trying to hide who's selling it, because he's selling for the same price on the internet. If you go on the APMO website, that's you guys who do UPC, it will be listed, it will show you that they tested it, that it meets the ASTM 112.19.3. So I can certify that this is 304. If you put that next to some of the internet sinks and they're duller, they can't be 304 no matter what they say on their paperwork. Eclipse has also developed a CNC certification. It's not a universal certification. They've developed their own, which means this will fit. It's certified to be within tolerances for a CNC machine every time. We have one of our customers who covers multiple states, never sees our sinks. We put them in, we should drop ship to their customers because they know it's going to fit every time. That's not true of all brands. So that's what, when we say certified quality, that's what we mean. Better processes. This sink, we press the left bowl, the right bowl, and then weld them together. For a bright time. See the weld mark on there? Okay. We believe that's the way, we know that's the best way to make a sink. This is a sink being stamped. When you stamp it out, you can pass that around. When you stamp a sink out of a piece of sheet metal, see how the sides warp there, the sides of the sheet metal warp? That's the same, just the same picture with some. See how those warp? When you make an Eclipse sink, you cut off those warps and you weld them together. When you do a sink called, with a process called annealing, when you press two at a time, you're stretching two of those warps and the center walls out of that center rail. Okay? It's going to be lighter. This isn't, you said this is a lighter sink. See, there's no weld here. Okay, now, though this is much lighter than an 18 gauge welded bowl. I told you, I was telling you before, you take some of those internet sinks that are sold as 16 gauge, they'll be lighter than the Eclipse 18 gauge because you're stretching all that sink. One thing to look for, see the pads? No pads. Okay, and you're welcome, all welcome to come up and feel these sinks, the difference in these sinks. But the more pads, the cheaper the sink, because they're making up for lighter or cheaper steel. And this is an Eclipse sink.
What's a pad for?
Sound deadening.
Just the sound.
Okay. The most thing is when you turn the water on, the water hitting the bottom of the sink, you know, this. The more pads, the less of that you get. Now, once you mount it, if they mount it right and put the plumbing on, most of that goes away, but the thinner the steel, the more pads you need. So almost always, the more pads, the cheaper the sink. Okay? This is an Eclipse anneal sink. It's less expensive. Okay? If you need to put it, you know, you're giving away a sink like some of the guys do, or you need to have a less expensive builder sink, this is a good, very good sink.
What's the gauge on it?
This is 18 gauge. Okay?
So you're not...
It's pressed from 18 gauge.
Right. You're not... When someone says it's an 18 gauge sink and you think, oh, that's really, really good, there's more to it than just saying
Absolutely.
18 gauge. I got you.
If you feel the difference, you will feel the difference.
I did.
Okay?
I felt
But
the
it's all because of those warps you're pulling out of the...
Okay.
Okay, now, better processes. The other thing is, Eclipse sinks are, the brushing is machine done. So if you like this sink, the next one's going to be just like this one. A lot of them are done by hand. So this is going to be the same every time. I talked about the flat finish. They just stamp it and it's gone. Okay? You scratch it, there's nothing you do with it. If you scratch an Eclipse sink, we can fix it. Because you can hide it in the brushing. There's a guy that is selling sinks that says they come from the Eclipse factory. And in fact, they come from the other end of the factory that Eclipse is being made in. They're annealed, flat finish. Okay? So it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to make an Eclipse sink. He puts it, stamps it, it's done. So he's doing it in 4. Obviously, it's less expensive, but it's lighter. You can't fix the scratches. Well, it's not as good a sink. And the steel, it's not certified, so you don't know what kind of steel it's made of. Okay, the final thing I said is Eclipse brand. Eclipse has been doing undermount sinks for granite fabricators for about 10 years. Now that doesn't sound like very long in the scheme of things, but 10 years ago you could buy from the big brand names who didn't want to deal with fabricators one at a time. So there was a brand new market when Eclipse came. And so we primarily went to the countertop industry, and there's been a lot of copycats since. So it's the oldest brand among the non-big brands, if you will. The other thing about the Eclipse brand, if you have a product, you have a problem with any A&O or Eclipse product, you send me, not somebody sitting in an office, you send me the name, address, phone number, what they bought, and when they bought it, we're going to take care of it. And that goes to the point that if we can't get them satisfied on the telephone, we're going to go out there and see them. Okay? If you have a problem with something right out of the box, and you have to send a plumber out, you've got that 80-year-old guy who's screaming at you, we'll pay up to $75 of the plumber's cost, even though most of the time it's the plumber's problem in the first place. Okay, so that's a 2-minute discussion on sinks. Any questions, anything I missed? Okay. When we saturated the sink market 2 years ago, we said, what's next? So we came up with we wanted to come up with a faucet that was unique, that our fabricators, so we designed this faucet with the fabricator in mind. This is the Eclipse Poseidon. It's the top of the line Poseidon. First thing you'll notice how heavy it is. It is solid sand cast stainless steel. Sand cast is the method they do it. Go on YouTube and sand cast. I mean, basically they make the mold out of sand, cast it, and then let the sand out. Okay? If you look at a lot of the brand name faucets, here, I'll pass this around so everybody who hasn't seen it. If you look at a lot of the brand name faucets, there's 3 different processes that goes into making it. This is cast, this is pipe stock, and this is foil on plastic. You will see 3 different tones of stainless steel in the same, because these are all the same. This matches, within itself, it matches our sink today, tomorrow, when your grandkids use it 30 years from now. There's no finish to come off. If you cut this in half, it is stainless steel all the way through. It's not going to peel like the chrome or even the brand name stainless steel. Most of them are stainless steel finish on a brass faucet. This is solid stainless steel. This is lead-free, truly lead-free. You know, California and the new national law says that you can, to be lead-free, you can have up to 1/4% lead in your water channel. This starts with no lead, has no lead. It's not only California lead-free, it's really lead-free. You can mount the handle on any of the faucets except the Shasta in any direction, even on the back on an island if you'd like. The biggest difference is most faucets have weights. This has a spring system. The advantage of this is it's quieter. It doesn't bang on the plumbing, and it works even if you have a soapbox or something underneath the sink. This is our newest faucet. This is a Appleton. Looks very similar to our Cascade, which is one of our best sellers. It doesn't have the ring. The Cascade kind of has a ring on there. Yes, it'd be better if I do this, wouldn't it? I'll pass those out. Helps a little bit. What's really neat about this sink is that's cold to hot, so you don't have to worry about the backsplash. Never go tap farther than the. See that? Okay, and then on and off is this way. Okay, now Eclipse has just changed the springs so they now retract. The new faucets are going to have self-retracting faucets, stronger springs. Okay, now this one you can't mount. It has to be mounted on the side because of that feature. Otherwise, it's. Now that head that cast around is for the.
What was that one? Was that the Cascade?
No, that is the Appleton. If you look on the brochure there, the Appleton, the Cascade, and the Poseidon are all about the same height, so you can cross-sell them to each other. you know, you can say, well, here's, if you like the Poseidon, they're all the same size. The Hampton is exactly the same faucet, only shorter. Not smaller, shorter. So if somebody says, oh, that faucet's going to block my window, also if you have cabinets over the, it's a nice, so those all can kind of be intersold. The head that's passing around is for the Shasta. Now, when we did this, we designed this for the fabricators. That's full on to full off, again, so you don't have to worry about the backsplash or the windowsill or any of the parts. We have a couple of bar faucets on. This is the newer version of the bar faucet. You can pass that around if you like. This does not pull out. One nice one, there's the Sebastopol on there. It's in the middle, on the bottom. That does pull out, but it doesn't go from flow to spray. It makes a great bar faucet so you can rinse the sink, but it doesn't do the spray for rinsing the dishes. Same thing with the one next to it. Okay, out here in, if you have customers out in the country, you have a lot of reverse osmosis or filtration systems. We have a all stainless steel faucet that goes with that. Now this is cold water only. It needs a reverse osmosis or filtration system.
What's that one?
That's the Taro. The faucets come with a soap dispenser. It's a top mount dispenser. Now, if you guys have one of these in your showroom, that's not an Eclipse. This is probably plastic and it's probably broken. Okay, this is all stainless steel. Comes with a 2-year warranty. If you have a problem, call us up. We send you a new head. Okay, you do have to clean these. They do have to be maintained. If a customer calls up and says it doesn't pump, the first thing we do is send them maintenance instructions on how to do it. Now, this comes with all the faucets except the Poseidon. The Poseidon is a little more modern. So we've got, a little more traditional. So we have a.
So when you say clean, you're just taking the top out and
you unscrew it. There's a whole video on how to take it out. But you have to unscrew it and rinse it out.
So you do have to get underneath the sink.
No, absolutely not.
The top part.
All these are top mount.
Okay.
Yeah.
That part.
This
Okay,
unscrews.
great. Okay, there you go.
Just because dish soap is so thick, it can plug up, and especially if somebody goes on vacation or somebody goes to Florida for the winter and comes back and.
Hardened it up. Yeah, that makes sense.
As you probably all know, retired people are very difficult customers because they're standing there looking at it. We do have a line of stainless steel lab faucets. Pass that around. These sometimes sell better out of the box. Be careful, it's heavy. These are very heavy, very solid. In China, they take these out after 10 years. They take them back to the factory, repolish them, put a new cartridge in them, and reinstall them. So that's how sturdy they are. They last forever.
And again, these are all lead-free.
Lead-free, 100% solid stainless steel. Okay. What's the biggest problem that granite fabricators have with lab faucets? The answer is the pull-up,
The stopper.
the stopper.
Oh, stopper.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go straight up, you have to double lever it, and it doesn't work right. So they all put them on an angle, then it hits the backsplash. So we have gone to, that's open, that's closed.
The push pull.
Okay? Now, so you don't have the pull-up. Now, you were thinking, what about my hair? Because it falls. See, I don't worry about that, but you just unscrew it and you can clean it out. Now, it doesn't have the conventional wire through the middle of the stopper to catch all the hair. So, now, everything I'm saying is going to, is selling against conventional faucets, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay. That's the quick overview of the Eclipse faucets. No finish to come off. Lifetime warranty, 5 years on the hose. I personally take care of the warranties. Can mount any direction. Okay. We have, one of our best sellers is the Total Eclipse package. And when a customer comes to you and they're going, they just read it, you're all designers, right? How many are designers? How many are salespeople? All right. Usually I get nobody puts their hand up. You know what the difference between a designer and a salesperson is? Designers have skinnier kids. Sorry, it's a salesperson joke. So by the time you've designed the kitchen and you've done all the things, they've done flooring and curtains and cabinets and they're ready to be done. You offer them a Total Eclipse package, a quality package, sink, faucet, grates, basket strainer. This is usually an easy sell. The advantage to you guys of all our products is they're not sold online. This, if your customer goes online and searches real hard, they'll find out that this is between a $1,600 and $1,750 package. But they got to look for it, and they'll find it. Your cost, you can make a decent markup and offer a significant discount from MSRP. So that's the advantage of this. It's a terrific package. It comes in one package. You order it, it comes all at one time. We have these posters for you if anybody wants the poster. I think Kim's going to offer you a display program before we're done. But that's this package. It comes with grates. This is a grate somebody returned to me and said it was no good. And I said, you're right, we didn't get it from that Eclipse. These are, our grates are not the cheapest on the market, but they are made of the same 304 stainless as the sinks. A lot of them are not.
It's really gross. Don't touch it.
This is, you know, I think you can pass
Still
it on.
want me to pass it around?
There's somehow they put plastic. I mean, there were plastic pieces. I don't know what it was. You will notice ours are black. These, the white or clear, always turn colors. So black is better. If you look at the wells on it, these are terrible wells. That's good. Got great wells on it. So you get what you pay for. Somebody's going to ask me, how do I clean a stainless steel sink?
Do we have
See?
something? Don't sell an Eclipse at this point.
This is the best thing to clean a stainless steel sink. This has got,
There we go.
this fell open in my thing, but this is like Comet or Ajax or one of the cleansers, except it's a little softer, so it's made for stainless steel. This and a green Scotch-Brite pad will take out almost anything. You can also take out scratches on an Eclipse faucet with a green Scotch-Brite pad. Minor scratches, not deep ones. And now you said, how do I, if I got a scratch in my sink, what do I do? As long as it's a brushed finish, we sell, these you can buy these on the internet. We do sell them. It's not a big, you can probably buy them cheaper on the internet, but it's a real nice product called Scratch Away. Oops. This is a white powder, soft scrub. You wet the sink, you put this on here, and there's a series of pads, one of which you'll find matches the sink. The only problem with this is if you're sending this out with one of the fabricators with Guy, these are color coded to what order to use them in, and no self-respecting fabricator knows the difference between dusty mauve and seafoam green. So you might have to send one of your designers out there to tell them what color to use next. No, but you can tell by the coarseness. Please stop me at any time if I'm talking too fast. I always know I want to get you out of here. I don't want to. You didn't come here to. I told you that A&O is an independent distributor of sinks and faucets. The one problem with Eclipse faucets is they cannot get oil rub bronze finish to stick to the stainless steel. One of the designers told me, that's a living finish, which means it wears off. It was a little too living. The we looked for 3.5 years for a product. Number one, the product that we could stand behind. Number two, wasn't sold on the internet, so you guys got a half a chance of making some margin. This is a Freendo faucet. Friendo's been in business for 20 years. We stock them in Arlington Heights just like the Eclipse products. Lifetime warranty. First difference you'll notice is this has a weight instead of a spring. It can bang on the plumbing. Okay, and if there's a box under there, you do have to have a clear. Come in.
Sorry.
Do you have a tardy slip?
No, my mom didn't give me one. So I guess we sit in the front, huh? When we're late?
You're late, you sit in the front.
I told him, well, you missed it, but I told him I stopped spitting about a week ago.
Oh, good. Well, that's a relief.
That doesn't make, the weight doesn't make it bad, because it reliably pulls on as long as you don't have something under the sink. Okay? The first thing you'll notice about the Freendo faucet is it's a traditional, you know, the weight of it's not that heavy sand cast. Okay? It's a now, one advantage of the Freendo over most brass, because this has a brass structure, brass has lead. This one has copper all the way up to here, and it's got a plastic head so that the kitchen faucets are also lead-free. Okay, truly lead-free, because copper has no lead in it. Some of the guys, some of the installers, like this one's a little easier to install. You know, with the Eclipse, the stainless steel supply lines. This one, if something's in the way, you can bend these to get it's a little easier to get access to. Whereas the stainless steel ones, you can bend them, but they're much harder to bend. Pass that one around. This is the oil rub bronze finish. Again, you can bounce these in any direction, just like the Eclipse. Okay. This one, because it's sitting in my car, it catches. But that's the oil rub bronze finish. All these faucets, if you notice on the pictures, they show an escutcheon plate. This is completely optional. You don't have to use it. We call it a color sample, so if you get one, you can use it for future color samples. But if you do use a drop-in or have I mean, you can use this as a replacement faucet. Somebody's using their, what a sin that is, to reuse your sink. But if they're reusing their sink, you can use it there. Okay? This is a pull-out faucet. See, it's a real nice heavy faucet. This is the competition to the Shasta faucet. The difference is this head is much lighter.
This is a free.
This is a Freendo.
Freendo.
We don't really know how they pronounce it. We call it Freendo because it sounds friendly.
Okay.
See, this is much lighter. Now, a lot of times, people, particularly older people, like a lighter. You know, they say the other one's too heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but you can see the faucet itself is nice and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
This is has a traditional soap dispenser with it. They are available in oil rub bronze and brushed nickel. Again, it's a top fill. Like the other one, it does have a plastic spout. Okay. On your sheet there, we do have one. This is a less expensive model. This is a lot of the fabricators use this if somebody's putting granite just to sell their house. They say, I need a less expensive price point faucet. This is a price point faucet. Nice heavy faucet. Nice. It's price point. Typically, you're going to spend about $100 less for the Freendo than the Eclipse. Okay, this is our single hole. Pass that around. lab faucet. And there's the three holes. All these things are in stock in Arlington Heights, Illinois. So we ship the day after we receive the order, and they usually to Rockford area, it takes a day. It's all FedEx. Okay, when you guys are selling the remnants, the cheap lab faucet, this is again a price point product. This is the only one that comes in chrome and brushed nickel because of the price point. It keeps it under $100 for a. Still a nice faucet. You know, a lot of times when you go to the big box stores, it's all plastic and stuff. This is a good faucet. Forgot to remind me. The Eclipse sinks now have a brushed finish on the. They used to be polished finish. We now have the strainers with the brushed finish on it to match the sink. One thing that Eclipse does have, that most the supply lines come with your Eclipse faucet. Most faucets, including the Freendo, do not come with supply lines. So these are the lines that go from the faucet to the wall. A lot of people reuse the ones that are in their house, but this is an extra added value on the Eclipse faucet. That's the package. This flyer on the Total Eclipse, the nice thing about the flyer on the Total Eclipse is if you're dealing just with a kitchen, you can have, if you're just dealing with the kitchen, you can show all the faucets and all the sinks, the Eclipse sinks in one page. Here, I'll take those. Okay. I know I've gone very fast. Any questions? You guys came in late. You got to ask questions now because you don't know. Okay, the last product we haven't talked about is Jim and I, and that's Jim Olson and myself. That's A&O. We're two men in a warehouse. Don't tell Karen I said that because she works out of the basement. And Julie. We're a small company. We're stainless steel. When you're hiring us, it's not the granite wholesaler who, oh, by the way, threw some stainless steel sinks on the container coming in. You call us with a stainless steel question, we have an answer for you. If not, we'll find out for you. For example, stainless steel is not magnetic. You know that? But a stainless steel sink is. If you, it's a long explanation that I don't even understand, but it is not. So we can understand stainless steel, including the lady who calls up and says my sink is rusting. Well, it's not our sink rusting. It's the dog food can, it's the water, it's the grandma's knife. I had one guy, I was working on a sink, the lady, and I looked in the sink and I'm cleaning it, and boy, it looks like somebody cleaned their carburetor in this sink. Her husband disappeared. And one guy called me up and said, my sink's rusting. I said, what does it look like? He said, it's a half moon shape. I said, what kind of dog do you have? When you buy peaches or something at the grocery store, the health code says it can't rust. But you buy dog food can, it can rust. You leave a dog food can in water in the bottom of your sink, it'll leave it's not the sink, it's the dog food can, but it'll leave a rust.
Can you clean it though?
Absolutely. Okay, barkeeper's friend will take it right off. I had a lady call me, this is an absolutely true story. A lady called me up, actually a customer called me up and said one of the sinks they put in was rusting. So next time I was in the area, I went and saw the lady and looked at it, and sure enough, the sink was orange. And it didn't look like rust to me, but it was orange. So I said, oh, you have a stain there. I said, when did that happen? And I was trying to say, did it happen the first, I was going to blame it on the tile guy, we blame everything on construction. I said, did it happen, right when you put it in, or did it happen over time? She said, well, it doesn't happen all the time. I said, oh, when does it happen? She said, every time I cook spaghetti. Well, obviously it was spaghetti stains, and I gave her barkeeper friend and took it off. The point of that story is not to pick on the poor lady. The point of the story is if you have an issue, you don't have an issue, I have an issue, and I'm going to take care of it. Okay? We've learned how to ask the right questions on sinks and faucets. What's the most important thing about offering faucets to your customers?
If they work.
They work, yeah. Would you agree with me, you salespeople? The most important thing is, can you make money and not have problems? Okay? You can make money because we're not sold on the internet. Okay, so you can put out a fair margin on it. I'm not saying you can make $1 million, but you can make a fair margin. Okay, and if you have a problem, A&O or Eclipse is going to take care of it for you. Okay, so that's the definition of why you should offer faucets. I don't like to talk about problems in faucets, but it's a moving parts. You will have them. We had a call one day. The head is spraying all over. You know, it's coming out of parts. I rushed right out. They happened to be in Aurora, not far from where I live. And I rushed right out, and I looked at it, and I took the head apart, and there was sawdust in the head. Well, believe it or not, that didn't come from the factory. If you can picture underneath your sink, you've got the valves, and they pointed up. Well, they had taken it out, remodeled the kitchen, put new cabinets in, and the top had filled up with sawdust. Well, the guy had connected the hose, turned it on, and all the sawdust went right into the head. When you guys remodel a kitchen, you take out the sink, faucet cap, or whatever. You do a lot of work, and the pipes get knocked around. You can't help it. Any minerals or deposits that were built up in that pipe are now loose. The first thing the plumber should do before he hooks up those lines to the water, to the faucet, is put them in a bucket with a rag so they don't splash, and drain all those parts out. This is a service call I did on a brand new faucet. That's the debris I took out of the faucet, because the plumber, I think in this case, he said the plumber did it, I think the homeowner did it, and blasted right into it. Now, some plumbers, lazy plumbers, will take the head off the faucet, turn the faucet on, and let it drain. What are you doing? You're sending all the, I use the word cartridge, I'm not sure I defined it. This is the cartridge, it's underneath the handle in the faucets. This turns the faucet on and off, and it also, if you twist and see how it mixes the hot and cold water there, see that? So when you blast it through the head, or through the faucet, this is where it goes, and that's what you get. Okay, now, we still stand behind it. We send out a lot of these cartridges because people mess up. Sometimes if they buy the Home Depot version, this will be a plastic cartridge instead of a ceramic cartridge. And sometimes for the short term, the plastic will actually close over the debris, and so it will work and it'll leak 3 weeks or 3 months from now. But it doesn't matter, we stand behind it. Okay. I started to say that we're stainless steel guys and we really weren't interested in granite composite sinks, but we were getting so many people requesting that I cover 8 states. I went out and I called my customers and I said, okay, if we bring in a granite composite, what sinks will not give you a problem? And they all came up with one answer. It's the sinks made in Germany, the traditionally oldest one. The problem with the sinks made in Germany is one of the big brands put them online for wholesale, and you guys can't make any money. So, we went to the original factory in Germany, and we now have a granite composite sink. At the present time, we have it in double equal and offset in black and brown. We are going to be bringing in white and beige. You're welcome to come up. This is kind of heavy to pass around, but you're welcome to come up and feel it, see it. This is the original quality. It comes with, you can either order, it doesn't come with, you can order 2 basket strainers or a basket strainer and a garbage disposal ring. These are much more price effective than big guys. What made this sink better than the competition? Many of them stain. Many of them have more plastic in them. Particularly the ones at the big box stores are as much plastic as granite, and so they're much more prone to breaking, cracking, particularly around the ring. One of the big brands, probably the biggest competition to this, is not UV stabilized. You'll see, particularly in the black ones, you'll see kind of like a white haze developing on the sink. And everybody thinks it's, they blame it on the water. They say, oh, my water's too hard, I can't clean it off. If it's minerals from the hard water, white vinegar and water will take it off. And a Scotch Brite or Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, those will all take off. But on this one, on the big brand that we were talking about before, that won't come off because that's actually a UV fade. And where do you put the kitchen sink?
Kitchen window.
So they don't go well together. And I think that's all. That's my presentation. Any questions? I'll be happy to do a short version for those of you who are late.
Well, thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you.
Again, Tom will be around for a little bit if you do have any questions, but one of the big reasons that we brought Tom in and that we are starting to carry these sinks is because of sink problems. You know, recently we've actually run into a couple bad ones where distributors actually sent us the wrong sink. We put it in a Cambria top and the homeowner didn't like it. So what happens? Who pays for that? Well, the distributor won't pay for anything, and the kitchen dealer doesn't want to pay for anything, so it's up to us. So if you go with one of these packages, or you know, even just a sink, you got really good quality in the sink. Plus, if you buy it from us, we can gather up the CNC templates for these, which we already have a lot of them. We can start the project immediately because we know what we're dealing with. We'll get the sink, we'll put it in the top, it goes right to the showroom or the customer, you know, and you're kind of over said and done. If you guys ship us the sink, we can't really guarantee what's going on with it. And for that reason, I mean, there might be a couple exceptions, but for that reason, we don't want to accept your distributor shipping us the sinks. We have absolutely no way of 100% verifying that what your customer saw and you sold them in the right color and all the different right, left bowl type stuff. That's what we get and we give to the workers in the shop and they put in until it gets to, you know, we're putting this in and who knows, might be before graduation or something like that, and guess what? It's wrong. And we all know how ugly it can get